What is going on, everybody? Simply Tan here today with a brand new video, and this one's going to be a very different kind of video in terms of what I do because, usually I do 10 things about Lego, and I was kind of debating whether or not I should put this video out because this isn't going to be 10 things about Lego. It's still going to be about Lego, so, don't just, head out quite yet because I'm just saying that it's not going to have, the 10 in it, but it will still be about Lego, and I think that this video is actually going to be a very fun one for you guys, which is exactly why I felt that it was okay to jump over that, kind of like my rule of having to, have 10 things to do about something. And in terms of today's video, we are going to be living in the what if of Lego Star Wars. And the what if is very fun. Obviously, you could look at it in a very negative way, but I like to look at it positively. And this one is going to be, a positive what if for Lego Star Wars, and to be more specific about their Winter 2021 wave that just released their final sets this March. And to be more specific, my what if is going to be like my dream wave for this most recent wave. Like, what if Lego was able to make these sets instead? Because I know that I would have been so much more excited if they could, but obviously, I'm just one person. But I also kind of took into account that I think a lot of other people would have enjoyed these sets a lot more as well. But yeah, anyways, I think that you guys should stick around for today's video because it's going to be a fun one, and I hope that you enjoy it as much as I enjoy making it. Just one thing that I would like to mention before we jump in here is the fact that I am a channel here on YouTube, which means that I make content like this pretty often, and I make, Lego videos, and usually it has to do with 10, but obviously today isn't about 10. But yeah, I make videos pretty often, and if you enjoy this video, I'm sure that you'll enjoy all of my other content, so go and check that out as well. And then, if you enjoy all of it, then really consider subscribing, because obviously subscribing is a big thing, but I think that it will be worth it to you, and it would definitely be worth it to me because, getting more subscribers is kind of my goal here, and there are actually prizes if you guys can get me to 1,000 subscribers. But let's talk about today's video. So how today's video is going to work is I'm going to be listing off every single set number and set price of the most recent winter wave that came out in 2021, which basically means that I'm going to have the same number of sets, the same price for the sets, but then I'm going to give them a different name, and I think that these names would have made much cooler Lego Star Wars sets. So starting off here with the least exciting set in my opinion, this is set number 303888. It used to be the $5 Imperial Shuttle, but in my opinion, I think it would have been really cool to see Lego step out of the box for this one and create an Imperial speeder bike polybag. Now, since forever, Lego Star Wars polybags have kind of been the lamest polybags out of all of them because they haven't been able to put figures into them, because it kind of was that conflict with the whole Hasbro idea where, Lego can't make and sell individual figures because Hasbro owns the sole right to do that. Obviously, if you haven't been in the loop, you haven't been in the loop, but if you have been, then you know that Disney and Hasbro renegotiated their deal at the beginning of last year, and all signs point to the fact that Hasbro no longer owns that sole right, so which means, it opens up a lot of doors for Lego Star Wars, including putting figures into these polybags, and I think that an Imperial speeder bike would just be a fun polybag because not only, does it fit into the original trilogy idea that Lego really likes, it also ties into the Mandalorian, because with the Razor Crest, we didn't get a speeder bike for those scout troopers, which means that, by buying this polybag, you could now get a speeder bike to go alongside your Lego Razor Crest. This was honestly the hardest one for me to think of because, I'm not that excited about polybags, but then I suddenly was just because why hasn't Lego started putting figures into their polybags when they now own this right? I'd be curious to see exactly what happens in this next summer wave and what they do with those polybags. But getting into the actual Lego sets here on this list at number 2, this used to be the $10 Millennium Falcon Microfighter, but I think that it should have been a $10 Razor Crest Microfighter. A Razor Crest would have been a really fun and a really easy idea because I think that set would have sold like hotcakes. The Mandalorian is obviously a very popular thing right now, and it was even more popular at the beginning of this year, so I think that releasing a Razor Crest Microfighter with a very cheap Mandalorian figure in it with his Beskar armor, I think that all of that added together would have created a really cool, really fun, and a very good selling Microfighter. Instead of creating a Millennium Falcon Microfighter that they've already made 2 previous times, why didn't Lego go and make this really fun, really cool idea of a Razor Crest Microfighter? My third one here is actually a pretty, it was a good one to begin with in my opinion, but I tweaked it just a little bit to make it, sort of like my dream idea of this Microfighter. And this is a $20 Microfighter, so it's like the dual one, which used to be the AT-AT versus Tauntaun Microfighters. And in my opinion, you could go 2 ways with this one. An AT-AT versus a Tauntaun just has made 0 sense since the beginning, and it's cool to have an AT-AT pilot and to have that really fun Luke Skywalker that's like a very unique design compared to any Luke Skywalker we've ever gotten, but the two together just don't make any sense. So in my opinion, I think they should have made the AT-AT like a Wampa. I think that could have been a fun idea to sort of have like a small Wampa animal and then like a small Tauntaun animal. I don't know exactly what figure would have gone with the Wampa, but I mean, I think that could have been a fun idea. On the other side of things, one that would have made more sense to put with the AT-AT, you could have made the Snowspeeder instead of a Tauntaun. So yeah, in my opinion, either of those things would have made just a little bit more sense compared to the one that they put out. But in my opinion, this microfighter is actually a pretty cool one, and one that comes with, some very unique figures. And obviously that AT-AT has been made before, but that Tauntaun hasn't, and I think that Luke Skywalker that very exclusive Luke Skywalker figure, I think he really makes up for any of the downfalls of this original microfighter set. My fourth set here on this list is set number 75298 for $20. This used to be the 4-and-up, which is basically LEGO Junior's Resistance X-Wing, and well, I kind of decided to throw this one way out the door, and I'm not doing a LEGO Junior set for this one. Instead, I think this set should have been in line with a couple of sets that we've gotten over the past 2 years at the beginning of the year, and this would be another duel set, and to be more specific, a Duel on Mandalore set. Now, obviously, this set, as of right now, is rumored to be coming out in the summer wave of 2021. I think that this set would have been really cool to have in January of 2021. And there are a couple of reasons for this. Like, for one, Clone Wars came out like a while ago, and then they're going to wait all the way until summer to make this set when it would have been, fresher on our minds if they just released it at the beginning of this year. On top of this, Ahsoka did have a really fun cameo in The Mandalorian Season 2, so, that would have also made the set more popular because, it would have been like half the price to get that same figure in the AAT set that came out a few months earlier. And then, obviously we didn't know that this Dual Mandalore set was coming in the summer, and I think it would just been really fun to get a Clone Wars set at the beginning of this year instead of all the original trilogy sets, and then this one lame Resistance X-Wing that this one is replacing. And to add on top of all of this, for the past 2 years, LEGO has come out with a duel set at the beginning of the year, so it just doesn't make any sense why they didn't do it at the beginning of this year, which leads me to believe that they should have released this Duel on Mandalore set at the beginning of, this year. Next up here on this list for you guys at number 5 is set number 75299 for $30. This set used to be Encounter on Tatooine, and it is now going to be Quill's Hut. In my fantasy world, this Quill's Hut LEGO set would have been really fun and a really cool idea, and in my opinion would have been a much better idea for this $30 set because Quill was a character that was very pivotal in the first season, yet for some reason we did not see him in a single Season 1 LEGO set. They even had the perfect opportunity to include him in the Razor Crest set, which made me think that maybe they were going to put him in a set at the beginning of this year. But of course they didn't. They didn't do what they should have, like they do sometimes. But if they had done what they should have done, I think that Quill set would have been really fun. It would have, come with Quill, it would have come with IG-11, it would have come with the Mandalorian. You could have even still put the child in there if you wanted to. Honestly, to me, this $30 set would have really been made just for Quill, just to get Quill. They should have made this set because Quill, he's a really cool figure and someone that I really wanted to see in LEGO, but it's very, I feel like we're never going to see him now because they kind of missed their chance at the beginning of this year in this wave, or even, in the Razor Crest in the last wave. I don't understand why LEGO never felt the need to put him into one of their Mandalorian sets. Now, don't worry, here for you guys at number 6 is another Mandalorian set. This set used to be set number 75300 for $40. It was the Imperial Tie Fighter. Now, to me, a $40 set would have been much cooler if they'd made this one the Encounter on Tatooine set. And the reasoning for this to me is I kind of look at the Pasadena speeder bike chase thing that they made for the Rise of Skywalker movie. And this would be the same sort of idea, where instead of, having one speeder bike and then having a stupid tent for the sand people, you would instead have a speeder bike for Mandalorian, and then you'd have a speeder bike for Cobb Vanth. So yes, Cobb Vanth would be in this set, which, would also raise this price to $40. And then you'd have 2 cool speeder bikes, and then, you could have still included the sand people tent, maybe put something even better, maybe put some sort of transport for the sand people in it instead of a, a tent. But I don't exactly know about that part, because the blister they made for the original Encounter on Tatooine set is actually pretty cool. But to me, the really big thing about this set is that it would have come with the Mandalorian with his Beskar armor, because I think the Quill's Hut one would have still come with the original Mandalorian, but this one you could put, his Beskar armor in it finally. And then you'd also get a really cool Cobb Vanth, very exclusive Cobb Vanth figure that, it might be a while until we see him again. But, anyways, that would have been my dream version of the Encounter on Tatooine, and it just seemed like that not all of that could have fit into this $30 set, so that's why I replaced the Imperial Tie Fighter with this brand new Encounter on Tatooine set. Now, nearing the end here of this list, at number 7 is set number 75301 for $50. This set was Luke Skywalker's X-Wing Starfighter, but to me, it should have been a Clone Wars Y-Wing. Now, honestly, $50 is kind of small for a Y-Wing, so you could take that into consideration, but just think about this. It's about the same price of, the last X-Wing. The last Y-Wing was about the same price as the last X-Wing, so when you shrink it down to the same size, then that makes a little bit more sense. because I think they actually did a pretty good job at scaling down the X-Wing. Like, in my opinion, it's the best scaled down version. So, I mean, they could have easily recreated a better scaled down version with a Clone Wars Y-Wing, and it would have been a much more exciting set to me. Now, obviously, Y-Wing isn't like the coolest vehicle ever, but I mean, it does play a really big role at the end of Season 7, especially because, you know, you see Ahsoka and Captain Rex flying it, so those would have been really cool figures to get in this set, especially because Captain Rex still isn't rumored to be coming out anytime soon, and I cannot believe that this is happening, and like, this Y-Wing would have been the perfect opportunity to fit a Phase 2 Captain Rex in. Now, obviously, this kind of would have also made like a conflict with the Duel on Mandalore set because they would have both come with Ahsoka, so, I mean, I don't know exactly about that whole idea, but in my opinion, at least one of those sets should have been a Clone Wars set, and would have been really fun to get another Ahsoka figure in this wave because it just would have been a really cool set to see. And it's, you know, been a while since we've gotten a Clone Wars Y-Wing. Like, the last one was a really long time ago, and it came with, like, a really bad-looking Ahsoka, really bad-looking Anakin. Like, LEGO has, like, grown so much since then, and they could have made a much cooler version of a Clone Wars Y-Wing. Now, as our final set here on this list, set number 8 is set number 75302 for $70. It was the Imperial Shuttle, but in my opinion, this should have been, like, out of all of them, this is the one that should have happened, and it was Moff Gideon's TIE Fighter. Moff Gideon was a really cool character introduced at the end of Season 1 of Mandalorian, and he always played a very big role in Season 2, and you know, now he's, like, kind of irrelevant, so, like, it's kind of interesting how they haven't released him yet, and honestly, like, that's one of the coolest moments of Season 1 is when he comes in that really cool TIE Fighter where, like, the wings fold in and, like, you know, he lands and it's all like mysterious and really cool. And LEGO making a set based off of that moment would have been really fun, and you could have gotten some really cool figures from it. Like, not only could you have gotten Moff Gideon with the Darksaber, you could have also gotten like a Dark Trooper, which we haven't seen in a long time. And then, you know, you could have also gotten some cool Imperial Stormtroopers that are kind of like dusty and dirty, kind of based off of like the resurrection of this Imperial Trooper. And I mean, you could have even gotten like that cool old guy who like does the deal with the Mandalorian where, you know, he gives him the Beskar and then he gets the child. You could have had some really cool figures and make a really cool set in general because, I mean, you could have based it off of this smaller Imperial TIE Fighter design. Because, I mean, before this year, the Imperial TIE Fighter was $80, and, you know, like, to add that folding wing effect would probably have added, you know, another $10, especially with all the exclusive figures that you'd put into this set. So instead, downscale it to the TIE Fighter design that you were going to release at the beginning of this year, and then add in the cool folding wings, so then it doubles as, you know, an Imperial original trilogy set, but then it also plays on, like, all the fans that have risen because of this Mandalorian TV show. So yeah, honestly, these sets would have been so much cooler to me, especially the ones at the end that I mentioned, than the ones that actually came out, because the ones that actually came out were just okay. They were very small versions compared to what we've seen recently, and I mean, some of those sets were like on shelves like less than a year ago still in some stores, where instead you could have made really cool, really fresh ideas, and especially like with the Mandalorian, you could have been playing off of like the real fan base that you have in Star Wars right now. But instead, LEGO does what they usually do, and they just fall back to original trilogy sets, and it's just kind of disappointing. And honestly, the upcoming wave of LEGO is rumored to be much better, so I mean, don't worry, this isn't like the future of LEGO Star Wars, it's just kind of what's happening right now, and it's just, I mean, this is kind of the lowest of the low in my opinion. Like, there's good sets in there, but it's just not the sets we wanted, and you know, they're kind of like weird how they're all like downsized and stuff. Like, it was just kind of a weird wave, and there's only room to improve here from LEGO, and I just can't wait to see exactly what they come out with next. And honestly, I'd like to end this video on your guys' opinions, so let me know in the comment section down below exactly what sets you wanted to see out of this wave that just came out, or maybe like if you enjoyed this wave, because I'm always looking for different opinions, new fresh ideas, and I just can't wait to see exactly what you guys all think about this video. Because I mean, if it gets good feedback, I will definitely be making more videos in the future, so keep an eye out for those as well. Anyways, that is all that I have to say for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to let me know by leaving a like or even a comment in the section down below. And I mean, once again, if you really enjoyed this video, be sure to really consider subscribing, because I make content like this pretty often, and it usually also has like that 10 thing going along with it. And don't forget about those prizes if you guys can get me to 1,000 subscribers. But you know, in the end, it's okay if this video didn't earn your subscription, because what I'm really hoping for is that it earned me the opportunity to see you in the next one.